We have all had painful events in our lives that can lead to depression, anxiety, addiction, or broken relationships. But here's a secret. It is not about what happened to us that causes suffering. It's the stories we believe about ourselves. Join us as we shine light on how to rewrite our stories, avoid the shadows of shame, and travel along the pathway to joy, love, and connection. It's the Finding Peace podcast with your host, Amazon best-selling author, Troy L. Love.
Well, good morning, James.
Good morning.
I'm so excited that you are going to be on the podcast with me today.
All right.
Can you tell us a little bit about you and what maybe, just so we can get to know you a little bit?
Yeah, most definitely. So I am a California native. I born and raised in Vista, California. Born somewhat in a half strict, half, what would you call it, permissive type of environment. So I experienced two sides of a coin in terms of being raised as a kid. And the long story short, I'm all the way here in Yuma now. I don't even know how I ended up here.
Yeah, I don't know how I ended up here either. It's like, you end up here and then you stay for a long time.
The heat doesn't drive us away too quick, I guess.
You don't have to shovel heat, man. You don't have to shovel heat.
That's a good point. I did live in Canada actually for a couple years and a lot of snow shoveling.
Yes, snow shoveling, ice scraping off the windshield, all that stuff. Yes, that's why I live in Yuma. Well, welcome to the Finding Peace podcast. Can you tell me what it is that you would like to find a little bit more peace or joy or contentment about in your life right now?
Yeah, definitely. I put some good thought into this. I'm really thinking about what I would love to find more peace about, and that would be, so is it okay if I start from the beginning?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm just going to say it straightforward. I struggled growing up feeling, and before I share this, I want to acknowledge something, that I've come far enough in my journey of finding peace. At least I still have a lot more to go, but I've come far enough to be able to separate my struggles from the characters of those who have hurt me. So whenever I bring up somebody, recognizing that this is, very out there, very public in how I'm sharing these stories, the people that I bring up, in no way would I share as a reflection on them or them as a person.
I appreciate that.
Yes, because every person I'll bring up, I love, I respect, and I admire for so many reasons.
Yeah.
But I can't hide the fact that we've all been hurt in different ways by people.
So much.
And to go back to the beginning of my story, my parents divorced when I was 5. And I still look back on that and think, maybe that was actually for the best. Maybe it wasn't. Who knows? We can't know. But what I can say is I grew up feeling very powerfully from a very young age like I did not have a father figure in my life. And I craved that. I grew up having a strong connection with my mom. Still do to this day. We have our issues, but I recognize deep down, I really felt that wound of neglect.
Was he part of your life, just not part of your life?
So after the divorce, I don't remember, I was 5 years old, mind you. But so from the time my memories actually are in my consciousness right now, he was in Texas. So I don't know how long he stayed where we were at, but I lived with my mom the majority of my life. I lived with my dad in Texas maybe a year or less. And so it was only summer vacations that my sister and I would visit him. So he was absent from my life, not only physically, but emotionally, spiritually.
So that's really the facts, right? He was gone. As you think about that, what attachment wounds are tied to that for you?
Probably as a 5-year-old, knowing what I do know, at least about child development, I didn't understand I mean, and that's probably common sense too. Kids just don't know what the details of what goes into divorce, separation. It's way more complicated than we often make it out to be. There's a lot of details. But as a 5-year-old, I can imagine I felt abandonment. Like, where are you? And because here's the thing, even though I've no relationship's imperfect, I look back at pictures, I see like home videos, and there were beautiful moments with him. Even if there were little pockets of time. And so I probably felt abandonment. Like, hey, where'd you go and why?
Yeah. How big is that wound today? Not just about him, but just in general, the wound of abandonment.
I think I definitely have it. I think that's on the smaller scale. I don't feel like that. I have these other wounds that are much larger, and I know when they're hit. Abandonment is not one, and that's why I'm kind of speculating, saying, hey, as a 5-year-old, I probably I felt that,
Yeah. You also mentioned neglect.
Oh, yeah.
So it seems like that's part of the wound too.
This one would be one of the bigger ones for sure. I mean, I feel just looking at it and just talking about it even now, I'm starting to feel those core emotions, come up.
What are you feeling in your body?
You know that feeling when you're about to pass out in your body, and it just kind of, you feel very weak. Now, I grew up a lot of the times when I would engage with him would be, and like I said, no judgment on his character or anything. I love him. I respect him. I have so many things I could tell you. I could spend an hour just listing the things I respect about him. However, I did feel a sense of shakiness in my body when I would talk about him. I've healed enough now to where I don't experience that shakiness talking about it now, but I still kind of feel a little trembling, in the vocal cords. And
yeah, well, that's one of the beauties, I think, of being able to identify what the wounds are, because it's not about causality. It's not who did that to you. I mean, we could focus on that if we wanted to, like who abandoned me, who rejected me. But it's more about, I have this wound and it affects me today. I don't have to really focus on who gave it to me, because at the end of the day, it's mine. And so when I kind of stumbled on that principle, it helped me not to continue to blame, like my parents, kids at school, like not blame them, realizing that they're wounded too, but also honoring that I have these wounds and they do hurt. So it sounds like you've kind of come to that same place of like, yeah, these hurt. These are tender sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And even today, like we joke with each other. We have more open conversations with each other. I think me getting older has influenced that. Also, me having a better attitude, becoming a dad myself.
Oh,
and having a little bit more compassion and forgiveness.
I'm hoping that happens to my kids.
Yeah.
So when those wounds get hit, what is the automatic core belief? What is tied to that pain?
I'm not important. I'm not important. I don't have a safety net. I don't have protection. I'm left wide open. I'm vulnerable. It feels very scary to feel powerless. It feels, and maybe that's where, when I was growing up, the shakiness came from. Just that my father is out of control right now. Like he has wounds. Like now, knowing now, I didn't know this back then, but he has wounds that it's like two wounded animals trying to engage with each other. They're just gonna snap back. And now my personality was never the snapping type. I was the withdraw and be silent type. And my dad, his wounds, what they do to him is the opposite, at least in the dynamic of father-son.
Yeah.
And that relationship was more of overbearing and loud. And so my response would be, man, I am not important. What I have to say doesn't matter. What I feel doesn't matter. I have to keep that to myself. I have to hold that to myself because I can't trust And even it's gotten way better now, but even to this day, I still feel a struggle opening up and trusting and feeling. I've placed a lot of layers of, I just random squirrel thought I thought of Shrek. Shrek.
Yeah.
Onions, ogres have layers. And so my layers are a little bit more rock solid. They're a little bit more, hey, it takes a kind and compassionate person to really break through those layers.
How does that affect your relationships, your closest relationships?
I noticed that, so I'll either withdraw, close myself off. I guess we've all heard of the silent treatment. I've gotten way better, but I used to be very bad, and I'm still not perfect. But if it comes to something very serious, I'll do the silent treatment. I've got to hold it to myself.
Yeah.
Or because I'm older, I will kind of see in myself what I saw in my dad growing up, which is I'm going to let it out because I had to hold it back for so long growing up.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to let it out and raise my voice and be quick to anger. I saw that, and it's actually a thing of shame for me to even say it, but I feel okay saying it because I know my healing journey. It's when I've had my second child. I have 3 with 1 on the way. And when I started having kids, I saw so much of my dad in me. And yeah.
I hated that when that happened. I was like, oh, dang it. So as those core beliefs, I'm alone, I'm not safe, as those get poked, what is the core emotion that shows up for you?
Mostly anger.
So anger comes from a sense that something is being taken from you without your consent. So what is it that you sense is being taken?
That's a good question. Perhaps control. And, in my journey of self-awareness, I do recognize that control, like needing to have control in a situation is huge for me. And without it, I feel very vulnerable. So kind of like that word control came up earlier when I noticed my dad was out of control, right? Things are not stable right now. And to be honest, I got that on 2 sides. So I've been talking about my dad a lot, but I'm going to be frank. Like this comes from different angles, the battle, because I felt that lack of control living with my mom. Now, without going into a lot of detail about her, that was the more quiet pain. My dad was the more, hey, this is out there, this is known pain. This is like the, hey, look at me pain. With my mom, it was more the quiet pain. What I mean by that is that was more of sadness with my mom when I get hit, because there was a lot of betrayal because I didn't have the safe space with my dad. No fault, to his. I mean, he owns different things, but nevertheless, I felt, okay, I don't have safe space here. I'm going to go with my mom to have that safe space. I'm staying with her. I had an opportunity because things got so bad with my mom. Child welfare services was involved, everything. I've never shared this with anybody except my wife. I've been an open book to her, but this is the first time I've talked about this experience, and probably since it happened or since I maybe told my wife years ago. But it got so bad with child welfare services. I was 14 years old. I'll never forget it. It's etched into my mind. My dad filed to have me forcefully removed from my mom to live with him in Texas. Now, my wounds were so raw, so painful at that time, even for how bad it was environmentally. Not relationship-wise exactly at that point, but environmentally with my mom, I was so highly motivated to never live with my dad at that time. I would do anything, I would say anything to not live with him. And that was because I was so hurt myself. It wasn't because I didn't love him. It wasn't because I was just so afraid at that time. I was afraid of that lack of control. Like, I'm going to go there and I'm going to constantly feel like my world is out of control and who knows what I'll do. Anyways, to make this long story short, I was brought to the court And I asked if I could speak to the judge privately, because it was looking like I was going to be forced to move with my dad. And that petrified me at the time. And so I did. Looking back, I guess this is not very common for a 14-year-old to go.
No, I'm like, you were really courageous.
I was allowed to go into the office of the judge privately and express myself. And I don't remember everything I said, but I just remember being just filled and overcome with the words I needed to say. I articulated myself in a way that not many 14-year-olds, apparently did, because he was like, whoa, okay. Because of what you said, my testimony changed the whole trajectory of that outcome. I stayed with my mom, as painful as it was. And I, Troy, I tried latching on to different folks. My mom had a second husband. I tried latching on to him. That ended. I then attempted to latch on to, I latched on to her third. I brought a picture of him here today. He passed. And I brought it because when I thought about where I could find more peace in my life, he's the one that came to my mind. Because when he passed in COVID year, 2020, that shook my world. That, talk about hidden things that buried in the ground that you bury and then they get dug up.
Yeah.
And he passed away from similar reasons that made my environment with my mom so chaotic. Like I said, I'm going to respect their privacy. I'm not going to share too many details, but because he passed from the exact same things. And growing up, he was the closest thing to a father figure that I had. I remember, this is a vulnerable experience, but I remember being in elementary school and him taking us to elementary school. And Troy, I'd walk out of the van and I would feel so overcome with emotion. I would go hide and be tearful and cry because of that separation just for the day. I still, I know how hurt I was looking back at that, first, second grade James. And I did that for maybe every year for a couple of years for the first few weeks of school starting, because we'd be with, and I just felt that love, warmth from him. And once again, the wound of betrayal came with him because of how he passed. I'm not important. I know it's very selfish to think on me because he had his own wounds, obviously, that drove him to his passing. But once again, I just felt that sense of betrayal, that neglect, that I'm not important. My feelings, thoughts don't matter.
That's really heavy. Thank you for sharing that with me. My heart hurts with you right now. Sounds like you love him a lot.
Well, here's the thing. And I promised myself I would not become overly emotional during this.
I don't have any tissue in
I know. Well, don't. It's okay. My hard shells are strong enough to where I just tear up. I don't remember the last time I've had a good cry, a real one.
You haven't hung out with me long. It's my superpower. I'm super fan at parties, making everybody cry.
I have it too much ingrained in me. The boys don't cry. I want to achieve that peace someday, Troy, where I can feel just vulnerable to do that. I really do want that, but I'm not there yet, to be honest. But anyways, where I want to feel more peace in my life is I have struggled since 2020, since his passing, with anger at him. Yeah. So it's sadness, but it's also anger. How could you do this? Why was that so important to you that it was worth losing your life over? And, that's where I'm at right now. That's where I want more peace.
So as you sit with that anger, you said that you boys aren't supposed to feel sad. You aren't supposed to be afraid. But what were the rules around anger?
The rules that I had for myself or that were placed on me?
Both.
Well, the ones that were placed on me is I'm not allowed to experience that. I think a lot of my generation experienced that.
Right.
You're the kid. You're not allowed to express anger. We got to shut that down right away.
Yep.
And so that's why I never even approached it in person with my dad, because there was just no wiggle room. So, there would be times, Troy, where we'd have a negative interaction. and I would be by myself. Like, I remember this so clearly, and it's embarrassing, but I feel okay sharing it here. I would go into the bathroom and I would silently scream. I couldn't do it to a pillow in my room because then he would hear it, but I would literally just, scream, but not scream, and just like clench my fist and punch at the air and just let it out in any way I felt I could. It was Texas. I wasn't going to go outside. It was it was hot and humid. But so I'd go in the bathroom and say, I got to go to the bathroom. And he would always be like, what are you doing in there so long? And I'm like, oh, if only you knew.
Not what you think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it sounds so embarrassing watching myself, but I had to have an outlet in those. So not allowed. And it was the same thing at my mom's, but there was a little more permissiveness. So I could actually, I would come back from summer vacations. I feel bad about this, but I would like bully my siblings. I would let it out in any way that I could. I wasn't horrendous with bully, but I would say mean things. I would taunt. I would push a little bit more. Man, thinking about this now, talking about growing up, I had so many different ways I tried to outlet that anger or numb it.
Yeah. Man, I wish I could go over and hug that little guy. My heart hurts with your younger self, man. It hurts. So you basically were not allowed. You had to find some ways to express it. But where did shame start to show up in all of this? And which shadows showed up or maybe still do today?
So as I'm thinking about the voices, the shadow voices that I not only hear most often, probably listen to the most, would be the judge, 100%, and the rebel. So
I love that because not very many people talk about that guy.
I feel, I think like I told you in the beginning, I've come far enough in my journey to where I know the rebel's voice. I know what the rebel wants me to do. I've just gotten a whole lot better at not listening.
Oh, good. What does he sound like?
He sounds actually very like, you weren't allowed to experience this anger. And hey, I recognize that you don't want to have that anger. That's cool. That's all right. The rebel is very deceptive. But also, if he's trying to help, I don't know. Because he's like, instead of restraining the anger or instead of letting it out, just do something to numb it. Do something that you enjoy, that who cares if it's not right or not good. And I experienced this heavily. So the rebel was like pushing the judge away because the judge would be like, no, you got to be doing this better. No, you got to be doing this. And that was overwhelming. So instead the rebel was like, well, if that judge isn't going to help you, maybe I can do something to help. And so a little bit of a background, you know how some families say, our families have an addictive personality type, right? I mean, it really is true in our family. We just have these things that we grasp onto. We hold on to it.
Yeah.
Just kind of like I was saying, I felt neglected. I was grasping onto a father figure. Well, I grasped on early on to drugs and alcohol. So the rebel said, you can do this to numb it instead of trying to fight this fight with the judge or fight this fight with your inner self. So I did for 17, 18, 19 years old. And I made big changes at 19 years old, but even after 19, there were some struggles.
When did the drug and alcohol start? How old were you?
17. Actually, probably a little bit sooner. Probably between the 14 and 16, when I would be sneaking little things of alcohol from the cupboards and sneaking Vicodin pills. Yeah, it was powerful.
Wow, man.
Yes, it was bad.
You were in a lot of pain. Just tells me how much pain you were in that you were resorting to that powerful of numbing.
And it was a powerful number. I mean, maybe a lot of folks can relate with that, how opioids can, for certain individuals, just numb and that's what it all was about. There was no physical pain. I was a good, healthy teenage. I did not have much physical pain. And I still don't, thank God that I don't experience that trial because I have plenty of other afflictions. But emotional pain, man, it numbed it. Alcohol was for fun. Alcohol did do some numbing, but opioids for sure did. And eventually marijuana did a great job at numbing that emotional pain and saying, hey, and I didn't feel anger. I felt calm. I felt chill. And it was like, you don't need to hide from it. It was the rebel voice entirely.
Right.
Just stay in this numbness, rebel against what you know is wrong. You're not supposed to take Vicodin. You're not supposed to drink alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
You're a teenager. It's okay though, because, you don't want to feel the shame, right? You don't want to feel that.
Does the rebel still show up today?
Yes, of course. Like I mentioned before, the voice is there, but I do not listen to it nearly as much. Like I don't give it attention because I know it's not going to help. It does feel enticing.
Right.
I haven't had a drink of alcohol since I was 19. Ironically, I wasn't even supposed to. Well, I did live in Canada for 2 years. That was 18. But I haven't had a drop. But I still will have hard days, hard weeks, hard months, very hard mentally, emotionally. And I'll be in the grocery store and I'll see one of the favorite beverages. Favorite? It was Heineken. So really my true self, I have no desire for it. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't need it. I know how bad it is for me in so many ways, but still the rebel voice will say, you're feeling very hurt right now. This will numb it. And then I'll stop listening,
What do you say to it?
Actually, don't even speak to it.
Oh, you just ignore it.
Yeah, my inner voice, I guess I've kind of, for my own self, said my healing voice. And I work in partnership with, my Savior, Jesus Christ, in this too. It's not just me. And this is my personal journey, right? My personal journey. I've come to develop a relationship and friendship with him. And so I can't just say I do it by myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him credit where credit's due. And so I guess I don't simply just ignore it anymore. I turn my face from it and listen to Jesus Christ instead.
What does he tell you?
It depends on the experience. So I guess I can say one day I was having a panic moment and I was working in child welfare services. I was having a lot of panic attacks. This was just after George had passed away. He was the one I spoke of in 2020. And a lot of panicking. And man, I was in the grocery store and I saw the alcohol and the rebel voice was very loud, very excited to get me to numb the panic, the hurt, the betrayal. And I quickly turned away from it and I said a prayer. And I said, I'm not powerful enough. I'm not strong enough to ignore this voice. What do I do? It was just so raw. It was so real. I was like, what do I do? I'm stuck. And I heard, it was so simple. Just walk out of the grocery store. You don't need your groceries right this second. I don't even remember what I went there for. But once I got captivated by that shadow in that moment, it was just a simple, and this was a prayer in my heart. I didn't do any kneeling down in the grocery store, but it was a prayer in my heart. And it was just a simple voice. And I noticed that is just little directions, little nudges here, little thoughts. It doesn't have to be profound. It sometimes might be, but most of the time it's just simple. Hey, you're wanting to listen to me? I'll tell you.
So how much does the anger towards George show up now? Because you said that you want more peace around that. So can you say more about that?
Yeah, definitely. The anger, if I'm thinking of the shadows of shame, I would think of the impotent one of, there's nothing I could do. It was all on him. And one of the things is I felt the closest to him as a father figure, but I also felt the most betrayed by him often. See, I didn't feel betrayal from my dad, my biological dad growing up. There wasn't a sense of betrayal. It was just neglect, abandonment. It was there's not even an opportunity for connection here. It wasn't even a chance. At least with George, my mom, there were those shining rays of hope. So there's a lot of betrayal, and almost in a way, I have more anger towards George than I do towards my dad. And that pains me because he was a very close person with me.
So when that betrayal wound gets stirred up, what's the automatic core belief?
he didn't care. He didn't really care about me.
Mm.
And that stabs like a knife, because remember I told you I had tears in my eyes because I felt such a connection and bond with him.
Yeah.
And I felt like he cared, and I still, like, a good part of me still believes he cared about me and he loves, but I think if I'm honest with myself, I really do question it.
Mm.
I really do wonder, how much did he really care? Because he would say these things all the time. He would get us all excited. Hey, we're going to plan this trip. Hey, and we did do a lot of things. He did so much for me, and I love him, and I have a lot of respect for him in different ways, but he just constantly said things that he never did. The one thing I can say about my biological dad, when he said he did something, he did it.
Mm.
When he said he wouldn't do something, he didn't. So as much as I grew up with anger towards him, he was always, if he said it, if he did it, he was very authentic.
Yeah.
I just felt neglected a lot.
Right.
With George, it was, I would say this and not do it, say this and not do it. And now I am gone because I cared more about this other life than I did. And now he won't see he doesn't know my grandkids. He doesn't know, he won't experience, he won't experience, their milestones. He won't be here for that. Somebody I grew to admire and love so much in life.
So there's also a huge wound of loss too.
Yes, most definitely.
Mm. So on a scale of 1 to 7, 7 being absolutely true, how true to the words "he didn't care about you" feel, not up here, but down here. He didn't care about me. How true do those feel to you right now?
Feeling wise only.
Yeah.
Man, it's high up there. Probably a 9.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's where the lack of peace comes from.
Mm-hmm. What would you rather believe instead?
I would rather, so what if we're going towards the thoughts? My thoughts are more logical. My feelings feel less logical. Probably a lot of people's do. My thoughts and my beliefs are more, he had multiple wounds of his own that he was trying to mask. He was trying to numb, I should say. He was trying to escape from. And his wounds became so overwhelming that it wasn't that he didn't care, but he just fell victim to the wounds he had. And it was maybe out of his control. Maybe I place, because he seemed, okay, so Troy, he seemed so in control when we were kids. He was the type of guy, look at him for what you will, but if we didn't get an order from a fast food restaurant the exact way that it was supposed to be, he would loop right back around and he would say, "This is wrong. We need a replacement and a free meal." He was just that type of authority. Just
assertive,
that type.
yeah.
Yes, and it just felt so powerful, and it felt so like comforting. That, remember how I said I felt like my dad was out of control, and I didn't feel that protection. That I just felt that was need was met. Like I feel like he loved us, he protected us, and he was there for us. But at the same time, he had this secret that we didn't know about. And once we got older and it became more well known, then there was this feeling of betrayal.
Yeah. And there's a lot of anger around that still.
Yeah. And I feel like it was buried, the anger, because he was still around.
Yeah.
We would chat every now and then. We'd have good conversations. He would still sound like the same old George. But then when he died, there was no opportunity for that. And especially in the manner in which he died, it all just, man, reaffirmed everything I was feeling growing up and magnified it 1,000 times over.
So your rebel isn't very convincing in getting you to go buy a Heineke. Is that how you say it? But does he show up around this anger at all?
Yes.
What does he entice you to do?
Is, when it comes to my wounds of betrayal with George specifically, I have a faith where I'm a part of a church where there's something called temple work. Now, the important thing about that, and why I'm even bringing that up right now, is with our temples, we believe we can do saving work. So we believe that Jesus Christ came to save the world, and all who believe in him can be saved from sin. We also believe that those who have died are still living and can still even receive the gospel of Christ. And if we go to temples and we go with their names in mind, we can do work on their behalf to help them, assist them in a way of coming to know the gospel of Jesus Christ. Well, I did not recognize this until even maybe just recently, within the last year, but I started to have a motivation to do that for George. So just a little backstory, he met with missionaries of our church to try to learn about the gospel.
Yeah.
And he would go to church every now and then and show somewhat of an interest. And he always said, like, I'm going to get baptized someday, you know? I'm going to do that someday. He never did. And so one of the initial thoughts after he died for me was, now I was going through a lot of sadness, a lot of, you know, if we want to call stages of grief, you know, I was in a very sad state, very mourning, I miss him type of state. I miss him. And so my initial was like, hey, let me go to the temple, take his name, and do this work for him because I love him, because I'm sad he's gone and I know he didn't get baptized. One thing led to another, and that didn't happen. And eventually it kind of transformed. I never did it, and it transformed into this apathy towards doing it. I put it off and put it off and put it off, and it became like I didn't care anymore. And it's been 5 years now. And I still have not. Now, there's a few hoops I have to jump through in order to do it because he's not my biological father. So there are some rules in place.
Yeah.
But still, it wouldn't be that hard, Troy, for me to go and do it. So I know the spirit is, you know, that rebellious spirit's like, I only could attribute it to anger, to frustration. And I still struggle with that. I'm like, why does he not deserve this kindness from me? Why am I not willing to give that to him? This is one of those things. I'm willing to give it to so many people who have hurt me. What is hanging me up, you know?
I'm angry that.
Yeah, I'm angry that he's gone. I'm angry that he left so many promises unfulfilled, that I'm angry that he died in the way he did when it was such a source of pain growing up as a kid. I mean, so I wasn't, you know, this was 5 years ago. So I was about 29 at the time, and already in a stressful job, you know, doing child protective services. And I remember the day when I heard of his passing. I was working from home, you know, COVID had struck, and I was doing some work on my computer, and I get a phone call from my stepbrother. So it was his son, Chris, and the first thing he says, Dad's dead. That's just the very...
Oh.
Exactly.
Surprise.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
That's just the first thing. It's just, Dad's dead. And I am like taking a moment to just let that sink in and process that. And I'm like, what? And he has dark humor. I had dark humor, but he doesn't have that dark of humor. I knew he wasn't joking. And so he's like, I found him face down. Now this is very raw, very sensitive, but I found him face down in his apartment. Knocked on the door, he didn't answer. And anyways, we had that conversation, and I got off the phone, and my wife walked in the room. She could tell just by looking at me something was wrong. And for the first time in a long time, I just broke down like a little child crying, and she just held me. And it was just such an overwhelming day. I had to obviously take the rest of the day off, and I think I took that week. They had really good benefits, so I was so grateful. They had a leave program. It was government.
Yeah.
So it was with the county. So I had like a week paid of grieving in that moment.
How does it all show up in your life now, today, 5 years later?
That's a really good question. And I've actually been thinking about that question ever since you asked me to think about where can I find more peace? And I've asked myself, why is this even a thing for me? Why is this something that's disrupting my peace? How is it impacting my life right now? And to be honest, I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I don't want to feel this way about him. I probably couldn't point to specific examples of, it interrupts my life in this way, or, I see, because I kind of just live my day by day, get my tasks done, do my job, try to do the best I can. It's just more of a private, interpersonal, negative feeling.
And you said that it is affecting, according to your spiritual beliefs, it's affecting his progression because you're withholding doing the work for him in the temple, which that's not a judgment. That's like you've kind of put it on the shelf for a little bit. Your rebels maybe said, we're not doing that right now, but because there's anger around that.
It's interesting that you say that, because I had started by saying how in my earlier years, the rebel would encourage me to numb myself through using substances. Now that I don't use substances anymore, I find other ways to numb, actually.
Yeah.
I do. I struggle a lot with feelings of apathy.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't want to feel. I don't want to care, because I have deep care. I cared a lot growing up, and I felt like that got me into trouble in the sense, mentally and emotionally. I learned early on, if I just don't care, then I don't hurt.
Yeah.
I don't feel it.
Oh, so that you haven't shared what your job is, and you don't have to, but I know what your job is. And so it's interesting that your job does require compassion and caring. So I hear this juxtaposition of be apathetic and turn your emotions off. And yet then I have to hold space for people that I work with, my family and my kids. Like I have to hold space, or I don't have to, but and so that polarity of things. And so maybe you compartmentalize, like, I don't care about that, but I can turn it on over here.
That's a very good way of putting it. In fact, I am okay sharing what I do. Mm-hmm. So, I'm a social worker, and I would suppose there are many reasons why I got into this field. I think a lot of folks who get into the field of social work, behavioral health, wanting to help folks, is because we've gone through something ourselves, and we hoped somebody was there for us, and we kind of want to be that.
Right.
And so you're right. I do need to hold that space. And just the other day, I was actually talking to somebody about compartmentalizing. So it's interesting you brought that word up. And I am very good at holding a mental shelf. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things on that shelf, Troy. And I'm okay with looking at it, passing by it every now and then, saying, yep, you're there. I'll see you. See you later.
Yeah. In particular, though, especially with your stepfather, there is a lot of anger around him.
Probably the most in my life right now. Because I used to hold a lot of anger as a young man with my biological father.
Yeah.
I have let nearly all of that go. Like I hardly have any anger towards him. And a lot of that is his own transformation in life, his own healing that he's done, which I feel very blessed by. Not many people get that blessing, that opportunity. So I feel humbled that I even get to experience a taste of it. Mm-hmm. It's not perfect. It's not completely healed. There are still imperfections. But yes, I would say you're right. And that's why he came to my mind when I was like, where can I find my more peace? And it is in that relationship with him.
So the benefit that you get in holding on to that anger about him is?
My initial thought is I don't receive any benefit, but then I also think, well, then why? Right? Because usually as human beings, we hold on to things because it does something for us.
Yeah. So what does it do for you?
I don't know if it's justified. Maybe that's a word that's coming to mind. Does it justify? Do I feel like it's justice, like he's undeserving of it? I don't believe that. Mentally, I believe he does deserve mercy, compassion, all my love. He deserves me. He did so many great things for me. It's not like he was this horrible person. So I think what my thought is why do I care so much about this betrayal wound? And I don't know if I have an answer, but I do know that I hold on to things quite frequently in my life that are related to betrayal. And I've only touched the tip of the iceberg when it comes to my mom, when it comes to him. Those are probably the most stinging ones. They're the most closest. But I've had so many jabs at that betrayal wound in my life, in other relationships. And I still have a piece of me that holds on. It's not all anger. Some of it is just sadness. Some of it is, I don't know if I have a word for it, but I do hold on to, I do focus a lot on betrayal in my life.
Do you still have his picture?
Yeah, I do.
Can you look at it?
Most definitely.
All right. And then I want you to just close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that you've invited him here with us today in this room. And just kind of sense where he might be.
I'm noticing he'd be standing so I'm sitting in a chair right now, and he'd be standing up just to the right of me, and he has his left hand on my right shoulder, looking down at me right now.
And how does it feel having him touch you?
It hurts. It's a blend of, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Inside Out, but there's a point at the end of Inside Out, this movie that's explores emotions and how emotions impact this character named Riley. And at the end of it all, at the beginning, it seems there's this separation between joy and sadness, like they can't be together. At the end, that's resolved, and it shows that humans can experience both joy and sadness at the same time. I feel both joy and sadness at the same time.
So I'm going to move out of the chair, and then I'm going to invite you to have him sit in my chair.
Okay. Still with my eyes closed?
Yeah, or it's up to you. Whatever you feel most comfortable with. But what do you want to tell him? You could put the picture in the chair if that makes it easier for you.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold his picture in my hand right now. And I want to invite him to sit in this chair in front of me.
So the beauty of this space is I tell clients sometimes it's like a magical space. So no harm can be done here, even if you need to say things that you may feel are hurtful. It's not, because he doesn't absorb it. He hears it. So what do you want to tell him?
I'm at a loss for words because I spend so much time not taking this off the shelf. I let it collect dust. I'm not sure metaphorically if I want to take the dust and dust it off right now. I'm really thinking about it.
So what would it be like to tell him that? I'm not sure I want to tackle this with you right now.
I'm not sure I even want to look at you right now. I'm not sure I even want to start having a conversation. I'm still in a mode of I want to be quiet, withdraw. Goes back to how I was as a kid.
That's the pattern, right?
Yeah, it's a pattern. And I just want to ignore it and not address it because I feel and recognize anger and I don't like it. So I don't want to have that outlet towards you. I know what it feels like to have anger poured out on me. It doesn't feel good. I don't like doing it to others, especially other adults. So I don't feel like I want to do that to you right now. But I will say, I miss you. I wish you were still here. I wish you could see all your grandkids. You would have loved them. You would have, you would have had a good time, especially with my daughter Grayson. You would have had a lot of fun, but you don't get to experience that here in life, and you don't get to have those experiences because of the choices that you made. And I don't blame you. I don't condemn you. I don't judge you for them. In fact, I love you. But dang, I'm so angry that you're not here to experience it, you know?
Anger comes from a sense that something was taken. So what was taken?
Well, that's the thing, is I feel like you didn't. I don't. The feelings that I have are nothing was taken from you. I felt like you gave it up.
Mm.
I felt like that's what I feel. I feel like you gave up on life. And by giving up on life, you gave up on future experiences with us. You know, you loved us. There's so many things I wouldn't have without you. I know how to play golf. I know how to bowl. I know how to ride dirt bikes. And I know how to have fun. I know how to, all these things. I know how to relax and let loose when I need to. I know how to be bold and strong when I need to. I know how to be loving and compassionate when I need to. All these wonderful lessons I learned from you that I treasure. And yet I felt like you knew this, you taught it, but there was just something I never knew of, and it just feels like you gave up. And you now do not get to share that loving personality. You don't get to share those words of wisdom. You don't get to share yourself with the people I care about the most. My wife, my kids, your son and his kids. He has a wife and kids now, and you don't get to experience that.
And it sounds like you crave that.
No, most definitely.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have you sit with a question, and then you can choose what you want to do with it. I don't want to do your temple work because
it's not that I don't want to do your temple work. I do want to. It crosses my mind all the time. I want to do it. For whatever reason, I'm feeling not motivated to do it.
I'm not motivated to do your temple work because
I don't want to put in the effort. If somebody drove me, just said, get in the car, I have it all set up, and I was there at the doors, and they said, do this work, I'm there, I'm doing it, I'm loving it. But there's a lot of steps to do, and this isn't something common in my life. If I'm motivated to do something, I'll get it done. I'll do it. And I almost did initially. I almost did in 2020 after you died. But I can't remember. Something just stopped. Barriers must have come up, and now I've just let so many years go by and have so many different struggles in the years, and I just don't feel motivated. And I don't know why. I can't say anger, because I would say, I just told you, if I was warped to a temple.
It's apathy, right? So
yeah.
So seeing maybe a parallel, you're not feeling motivated, and the sense is he was not motivated to do what he needed to do to take care of himself.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you didn't care, why should I? And if you didn't care about me, why should I care? And I know that's such a infantile way of thinking.
Oh. So your judge just showed up.
Of course.
Right? Your judge just said, what's wrong with you thinking like that?
Always.
Right? So just kind of notice, your judge shows up, you're starting to express some anger, like, if you're not motivated, I'm not motivated, I'm going to take my ball and go home. But your judge is like, no, kid. But there's anger around that. Like, I'm upset that you weren't motivated.
Yeah. Goes back to, I wasn't allowed to feel, wasn't allowed to express those emotions. And shoot, even as good as a relationship as I had with my mom, I could express every emotion. Anger was not one. No. She would defend. Oh yeah. Everybody. But she would do it in a different way, of course. But I could express sadness, anxiety, anything with her. Just not anger. Never anger. So anytime anger comes up, it's like,
So how do you see him responding as you say, you weren't motivated, I'm not motivated? What do you see him doing?
Honestly, there were so many years when he moved back east, before he died, we had already been distanced for quite some time. This was building up before he even passed. in terms of feelings of resentment and feelings of disconnect. How he would respond, I don't know. He had changed so much. If it was the George that I knew back when I was a kid, honestly, he might be pretty receptive. He was just that way, which is why the feelings of betrayal came up. He was somebody I could talk to.
So he and your mom got divorced too?
They were never technically married, but they separated, after about 7-8 years.
And how old were you?
Let's see. That must have been by the time I was in college. So around 17, 18, 19. Yeah, when they finally just called it up. Because they got together when I was about 10, 11. So it was around that time they separated and he moved back. They lived together for a while. I mean, just to give you a little bit of another taste of the feelings of betrayal, he hid what he did so well. His behaviors that he hid him so well. I had no clue. He was my rock. He was solid. And I knew my mom's stuff. Hers were out in the open. It was clear. And he was the one who had everything together. The family was a rock. And my grandmother, bless her, she was only trying to help. But she one day just said, you know what he's doing, right? You know his behavior. I'm like, you got to stop this conversation right now. I got so angry. I said, no, he is not. No, he is not. You couldn't convince me otherwise. So, and I was going to die on that rock of he is the rock. He is not doing this like my mom is. And he was. So like I said, this started a long ago. Then that journey went all the way to his death.
Right. So he moved to the other side of the country.
Yep.
Just like your father. Just pointing that out. What comes up when I say that?
Oh, I took the good. I've thought of this before. I've taken the good. I was like a sponge growing. I still feel like I am. I love learning from other people. I love seeing people's examples. I love absorbing and taking in from what other people's positive attributes. In that process, I also take some negative. Yeah. So I've taken the good, the bad, and the ugly from all three of my father figures. My dad, my stepdad, my first stepdad, and then my second stepdad.
Yeah. So I'm not saying like what judgment comes up, but just noticing that pattern, right? There's that pattern of these men are here and then they're not. And these men maybe cared and then they didn't, or whatever the judgment is around that, but not. So when that betrayal, that abandonment, that loss all shows up in this moment, as you think about those patterns, what does that lead you to believe about yourself?
I don't know. I would like to say I believe I'd like to believe I'm, forgiving. I'd like to believe I'm compassionate. I feel bad about myself that I even have these feelings. It's just so strong in me. I feel bad that I even have them. I don't want them. I want to give them away. So I believe that I'm in the wrong for feeling this way, for even having this conversation.
Is your judge showing up around that?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, and that is that's why, that's the hardest voice to, like I said earlier, the rebel voice. I cannot listen to it. The judge one, I have a hard time. I have a really hard time.
So you're not allowed to have your emotions. There's something wrong, especially around anger.
Yes, most definitely.
You're bad if you have anger.
100%.
On a scale of 1 to 7, how true does that feel?
It feels about a 5 to 6.
So what do you want to do with him right now?
I'm okay with saying goodbye.
Okay.
And it was good to have that little chat. I do appreciate the opportunity. It won't be the last conversation.
Of course not. Right. So now I want you to invite somebody else in that chair. Somebody that you love, who you referred to earlier as your savior. And I want you to tell him, like, my judge tells me that I shouldn't feel anger. And then he might tell you a story about 2 times when he was angry. Super easy to tell you.
I know the story, one of them at least, automatically that comes to mind.
Was it the same story? He did it twice. At the beginning and at the end. He lost his... Well, I don't think he lost his temper, but he was angry.
Yeah.
Because people were defiling his father's house, right?
Yeah.
So he did it twice. So what does he tell you?
He does tell me that, and I've come to know his words well enough to know this, that he does say, on the one hand, that judgment is mine, justice is mine. And my anger is righteous anger, because it serves the purpose of glorifying my Father. I also am hearing him and seeing him reach down to me, and just as he did with the woman taken in adultery, say, I'm not condemning you for feeling this way.
Yeah?
Don't use it, however, to harm others. Be mindful of it.
So sit with the part where he doesn't condemn you for being angry. Just sit with that part. And what is the truth around that?
Well, like I said before, it's not a secret. I'm a social worker. I'm a therapist myself. And a lot of times, when I'm working with clients, I'll have this conversation about how we should not condemn the feelings, the emotions that we have. I actually use a metaphor of a bird landing on our shoulder. Can you control what lands on your shoulder, that bird, if you don't see it coming? Well, not necessarily. So when your wounds get hit, when my wounds get bumped, there is a feeling, there's an emotion. I can't control that bird landing on my shoulder from the back. I can control my response to it. I can have that. And even if I have a hard time controlling the response, I'm going to fall short. I'm going to be imperfect. Even then, I need to have compassion with myself. So one, understand feeling the emotion is not the bad part. The response that I make in this can create, I don't even want to call it bad, but the response I can have can perpetuate wounds.
Right.
Make mine feel worse and create other wounds, which I'm not going to be perfect, but I don't want to do that.
I know.
And to be compassionate with myself, even when I don't handle it the right way.
And he knows that too.
Yeah.
So if he invited you to just tell him what you're angry about, and you looked at him and said, I'm angry that, what would you tell him?
If he said he was angry?
No, you.
Oh.
The Savior is saying, okay, James, tell me about your angry. You're angry that. And what would you tell him?
I'm angry that I don't have more time with George and that he's not experiencing more of my life and any of my children's life. That's really what it comes down to. I want those memories with him. I had so many good ones growing up.
Yeah.
Wanted more of that.
And how does he respond to that?
Honestly, I imagine him just listening and just sitting there with me in it, and with the loving look in his eyes, just that reassurance of, I understand. Not giving me any advice, not telling me what I should do, not telling me how I need to be better. Nothing like what the shadows try to do.
Right, exactly.
Sitting with me in it, letting me be heard and understood, seen. And now that I am seen, now that I am heard, and I go through this frequently, constantly, but now that I am heard, I move on and trying day by day, little by little, to try to move on with a little bit more healing and love for him that I didn't have before. It's better than it used to be, than 2020, but it's ongoing.
So as you sit with his love, his unconditional love for you, the no judgment, the no life lessons right now, he's just listening. and holding space, what do you feel in your body?
Calm.
Okay. And where do you feel that?
Shoulders. My abdomen.
And if that feeling had a color, what color would it be?
Serene. I think of like a green landscape, almost like I'm in the Shire from Lord of the Rings, for anybody who's familiar. So such a peaceful area.
Yeah. What temperature is it?
Oh, it's sunny San Diego weather. It's beautiful. The sun is out. It's bright. It's not hot. It's a slight breeze. I got that perfect mixture of warmth and cool.
And what texture is it?
Well, I'm sitting on the grassy hill and feel the soft grass.
So if you want to, you can close your eyes, but I want you to just tune into that feeling where you're feeling it in your body and just breathe into it. And every time you exhale, just allow that feeling to grow a little stronger, maybe grow a little bigger, centimeter by centimeter, inch by inch, until you really feel it. And then as you do that, I want you to ask that feeling a question. What is really true about me? Not what do I need to do or how I need to respond, but what is true about me?
I noted I had a lot of different thoughts about who I am answering that question.
You want to share any of them or?
Yeah, definitely. First thought is I am a child of God. And what goes with that is really what's most important, is that I've always been loved. Everything's always been under control. It just appeared like it wasn't. I've always had a purpose. I've always been heard. I've always been seen by my Father in heaven. I've always had that attention. I just never, I want to say never, but I just had a lot of moments where I didn't know it. And even now it's that way. And it's not just for me, it's for him too. It's for George too.
Yeah. So just breathe that in. And from that place of truth, what do you need right now? Now, what do you need to do? What do you need?
Definitely need safety and security. I feel like a lot of my core emotions come as a result of not feeling safe and secure, both temporally, like both in the world, like in physical nature, and in emotions and mentally.
And so what choices could you make to help you have more safety and security in your life?
One was definitely even just talking to you now on this podcast was one. Being willing to take those hurts off the shelf and to be open with it. To be vulnerable is a good way to put it. To not, to be willing to share, to be willing to open my mouth and not only just share my story, but also look for others who have similar wounds. I feel like that's like when you said, who am I? And I said, I've always had a purpose. It's like I feel like I've had these experiences for a reason. There are other people who have share wounds with me.
Yeah.
Similar wounds.
To me, that's one of the amazing transformations. Like if we just wallow in the woundedness and like almost like a victim energy around that, that doesn't really serve anybody. But when we're able to lean in and notice like, yeah, that hurt, it really sucked, it was painful, and man, it's really given me space to have better understanding of other people. I can show up for other people. I can use that to make the world a better place. To me, that's an amazing part of healing.
And so I would add another need to that would be growth and contribution. Growing in my purpose and growing and utilizing what I've experienced to make contributions to help other people.
And you are doing that already. And I'm absolutely certain you're going to keep looking for opportunities for that too.
Thank you, Troy.
You're welcome. How you feeling?
Calm.
You did beautiful today, man.
Appreciate this opportunity. I really do.
You're welcome. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. I was happy to be here.
You've been listening to the Finding Peace podcast. If you love the show or want to ask a question, let us know by going to findingpeaceconsulting.com. There, you can also learn about the Finding Peace 5-Day Challenge. Remember to subscribe to this podcast so you won't miss the next episode. And if you are listening on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating. It really does help other people find this podcast more easily. Thank you for spending part of your journey with us. And a special thanks to Johnny Porter for producing the show, and A.G. Flux for the new background music. Copyright Finding Peace Consulting.